everybody, and welcome to Storm Reads. And today I am going to be kind of doing a late mid-month wrap-up and just kind of tell you about some of the books that I have read. By now you'll probably have seen my Amish in April wrap-up, which has 3 of the books that I've read, but I still have 5 books that I can talk about. And I'm afraid if I wait until the very end and add more books to this that I'm going to forget what these ones were about, and I ramble on enough as is, so I think it'd be easier to just go ahead and talk about some of the books that I've already read now, and then I can let you know like some of the books that I'm currently in the middle of. And so with that, we'll just get into the books. And so, first book I'm going to talk about is Every Last Fear by Alex Finlay. And this is a thriller, and it was very good. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this one 4 stars. It was really good. It's about a family that, after a documentary had happened about this family and the stuff that's going on, because their oldest son has been put into prison for killing his girlfriend, and he says he didn't do it. This documentary is about how they think that he's innocent, and it put some of the people in the town in a bad light, the police and all that stuff, and so they ended up having to move to a totally different town. And they've been working for years trying to get their son released. The daughter, I think her name was Maggie. I've already forgot characters' names. She's a 12. I think she was 12 when it happened, 11 or 12 when it happened, and now she's 16, I believe. So see, they've been working on it for a while, but she's been working trying to get him out of it. They've been going through documents and all that stuff, and they find out through going back to like when they found all this stuff out and the things that they're going, and the reason they go to Mexico. And then you have a present day where it's just with Matt who is left, because all 4, the mother, the father, the daughter, and their youngest son all die in Mexico. And then we have the present day. It has the FBI agent, the lady, I can't remember her name either, who gets a hold of Matt, and they have to have Matt go to Mexico to pick up his, to get the bodies released, because the Mexican police, they're not wanting to release the bodies to the FBI or anything. So he's having to do that, and he's just a college-age student, and so this is very stressful on him to have to do this kind of stuff. And he's the only one left. He's like, besides his brother that's in prison, he's the only one left. That was his like entire family. And when he goes there, some really strange things happen, and the documentary people are still looking into things, and they find some things out that they think's a little bit hinky about what happened to them, and that maybe it wasn't an accident. And so while Matt in the present day and the FBI agent and all that stuff are trying to deal with the current situation, it goes back and it has the POVs of the father and the mother and the daughter, and what happened to them leading up to them going to Mexico. Things that they were finding out, things that were just happening within the family dynamics and stuff and everything. So you kind of get a little bit of a slow build-up picture of what exactly happened, and how what happened in Mexico has to do with some of the things that are happening now and things and all that stuff. And it was just really interesting. I'm usually not really fond of back and forth timelines like that. It's just not one of my favorite things. But I thought this book was really well done, and I thought that it presented it really well, that you just wanted to keep reading because you wanted to find out, well, what is it that they found out that, has to do with any of this stuff, and who's trying to, it seems like somebody is trying to kill Matt in the present day, and it's like, why are they trying to do this? What is getting covered up? What is, and all that stuff. And so it was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed it. And so I gave it 4 stars. And then, let's see, And then my friend and I, we buddy read this book because we wanted to know what the hype was and that the series was going to be coming out soon, I think, on Netflix. And so we read Shadow and Bones by Lee Bardugo, and I don't understand what the hype was. This was very boring. And I don't know if it's because it's from 2012 and a young adult was written differently, because this felt very juvenile and it felt like more of a middle grade book than a young adult book. It read really quick. I mean, it didn't take us that long to get through it or anything, but there was just nothing happened. And maybe it's because it's fantasy and I know it's the first book in the series and there's a lot of build up and world building and all that kind of stuff, but there's nothing happens, and I just don't understand why people rave about this book. And I mean, if you love it, that's fine. I just didn't understand the hype, because this book is all over booktube. It's everywhere. Everybody's always talking about this series, and I just didn't understand it. It's about Alina, and she's an orphan with Mal, and when they grow up, they're in this like army, and they have to go into the shadow fold, and the fold is this really spooky dark place where there's these creatures, and these creatures come and will just take you away, and it's really hard to get through, and they're going through the fold, and something was about to happen to Mal, and Alina is trying to protect him, and all of a sudden this light comes out of her and scares away all the creatures, and it also kind of scares the other people that are with her because of what happened, because they saw what happened. And it ends up that she's got this like special kind of magic that nobody else has, and um because of that, she gets to meet the Darkling, and the Darkling wants to bring her to the castle because he like wants to protect her, because now the other countries or whatever it is going to want to try to kill her because they're enemies or whatever. And so, and while she's there, she's going to be training to be a Grisha, and she doesn't want to. And the training part is very slow to me, and like nothing happened. It's just like day in, day out. She couldn't figure out how to use her magic, of course, because it's the chosen one can't figure out my magic because I've never had it before, kind of a trope. And maybe it's because it's been done a lot and stuff, but I don't know. It was just kind of average. I gave it 3 stars. I mean, it was okay. I think the best part of it was like the last like 15 pages. We find out that, of course, some people aren't what they seem and everything. And of course, she's got to try to figure out all this other stuff and protect people. And I can't really say anything else without probably spoiling stuff, so I don't want to say anything else. But yeah, it was just average. I just didn't really see what the hype was. Um, am I curious about continuing the series? Sort of. Do I want to do it anytime soon? Not really. I'm not in any hurry to get to book 2, though I'm pretty sure it will pick up a little bit more because of the events that happened in like the last 15 pages. But for me to be invested in a book and in a series and want to continue it, I have to have more than just the last 15 pages of a book to keep me interested. And I'm just not sure. A part of me does and a part of me doesn't, and I may eventually get to the second one. I do think that the series on Netflix makes the series look better than it is, because I went back and watched the trailer, and the trailer looks so cool, and it's like, yeah, that wasn't in the book. So I don't know. I'm still kind of interested in watching the show, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so there was that one, and then let's see. Oh, and then another disappointing one. Me and my friend Barb also buddy read Near the Bone by Christina Henry, and I should have DNF'd this book. I should have. My friend even told me to DNF it because she knew I was not liking it. But I trudged through it hoping that I would end up enjoying it somewhat. But I was so mad at the beginning of it, I couldn't get past the beginning. And it's very triggering for anybody who triggers easy for like let's say abusive spousal abuse and that kind of thing, and some other things. I can't really mention like some of the triggers because I think it would spoil some of the stuff, but yeah, it's very triggering, so just be careful about that. I usually don't mention that stuff because normally I don't get triggered by things, but this really made me mad, and I have none of that stuff in my past. It really made me mad. I don't like that stuff, and I don't like that stuff in my books, and it made me mad. But it's about a girl, Maddie. She lives out in the country with her husband, and he's very, very abusive. I mean, very abusive. And they're like up in this mountain, and one day when she's going out to check the trap, she finds like a dead animal and these weird tracks that she's never seen before. It looks like a really large animal, and so they end up being like this creature that's up there. And William, her husband, thinks he's gonna go and find this creature and all that stuff. And while that's going on, there is a cryptozoologist group of 3 that are up there trying to find the creature because they hear that this creature's there. And one of the guys, Griffin, finds William and her in the woods one day, and he can tell that something's not right with her because it looks like she's been abused, and he wants to kind of go and check on her. And when they do, it gets them, they all end up getting trapped up there in the mountains with creature and William, who wants to kill them all. So yeah, and I don't know, it was kind of a survival story about that kind of thing, and it did get kind of interesting after about the 60% part, but I was so aggravated at the first part, I couldn't get past it. And so yeah, I ended up giving it like 1 star, and I should have just DNF'd it instead of trying to finish it. But a part of me was curious, and then you don't even find out what the creature is or anything. I mean, it doesn't even hardly explain it. And there's some plot holes that we never got explained, like who Heather was, and just some things that happened that, I don't know. I didn't like it. That's all I can say. I didn't like it. Moving on. So the next book I have is Murder on Waverly Street by Victoria Thompson. This is the... No. I've listened to so many of them lately. I think it's number 11. Yeah, I think it's number 11 of the Gaslight Mystery series. And this one was really, really kind of interesting because Sarah Brandt is from a wealthy family, but she's a midwife. She was married, but her husband was murdered, and she's been on her own for like 4 years, and she does the midwife thing. And so she comes from a very respectable background. Her parents are rich and everything. And her mother, she wants to go to this seance that she heard about from a friend, these spiritualists, because you find out that Sarah had an older sister that we never knew about, but she had... Sorry about the noise my dog is creating. Anyway, we find out that she had an older sister, but she had died a long time ago, and it's kind of her parents' fault about what happened to her. So her mother kind of wants to go and see if they can contact her and kind of apologize and say she's sorry and find out some things. And it's just weird because Sarah's like, I can't believe my mother wants to go to a seance or to see a spiritualist. She's so uppity kind of or whatever, and the rich people don't do that kind of things. So it was kind of fun to do that. And they go there, and Sarah can tell it's totally fake stuff, but it kind of gets her mother a little bit that she gets conned into going back by the spiritualist, because that's kind of the thing. They draw you in the first time, and then they get you to come back so they can get more of your money. And while she's there the second time without Sarah, one of the people in the seance group gets murdered, and so Detective Frank Malloy has to come in, and um, he's trying to be really discreet about things because he doesn't want people to know that her mother was there. He's trying to be very nice about it and everything, since she is a respectable woman. He doesn't want the newspapers to get a hold of it and everything. So I thought that was very nice of Frank, even though uh, he doesn't know her parents. He doesn't really get along with them as well, because he's like working class and her parents are rich and wealthy. He doesn't think he belongs anywhere near like them, even though he likes Sarah and stuff. So he wants to try to be good to them because of Sarah and everything. Probably if he didn't know Sarah, he probably would have never even, give that a second thought. But since it is Sarah's mother, he tries to be good about things. And so I thought that was really nice of him and everything. And it was a very good mystery. There was several suspects, and I had a hard time figuring out who the killer was, though I did have it narrowed down. I was pretty sure that the one that I thought did it was, I was right, and I did eventually end up getting it right, but it did take me a while, and so I really like that. Sorry, my computer over here is making noises. But yeah, I really like that one. I gave it 4 stars, and then I have Killer Queen by Julie Mulhern, and this is, I think it's number 11 too, maybe. Not quite sure. I never can remember what number I'm on the series, but it's up there quite a ways. It's either 11 or 12 in the Country Club series. And this one, Ellison and Anarchy Jones was so close to being able to go out of country together and kind of have some time to themselves. And this is set in the 70s, and her mother and father doesn't like the fact that she is dating Anarchy Jones because he's a detective and she's wealthy, and her parents are wealthy. Like, it's the country club wealth of the 70s. And but she doesn't care about any of that. She had the wealthy husband, and that didn't go well and everything, and now he's dead and everything. She's doing what she wants to do, and she's an artist, and she just, you know she doesn't care about the wealthy and the rich stuff. She really likes Anarchy Jones. He's a very nice man, and she just doesn't care what her parents think. And so it's was kind of their time to be able to escape all of that. And they were going to go to Italy, and it was going to be their first time going off somewhere on their own. And then a lady comes to her house and introduces herself to their housekeeper, her housekeeper, as Mrs. Anarchy Jones. And then when Ellison gets home, she goes to meet this lady that's been waiting in the room, and she's dead. So she's got a dead body in her room, and she says she's Mrs. Anarchy Jones, and they don't know she why she was calling herself that. Anarchy has like no clue who she is or anything, and so they have to postpone being able to go to Italy because they've got to solve a murder. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I really like this setting, the 70s setting, and some of her friends are so rich and snooty, but kind of funny at the same time, and they kind of think it's cool that she's dating the detective, and her daughter, who is like a teenager, really likes Anarchy Jones, so she doesn't see anything wrong with her dating the detective either. It's just her parents that don't like it. And she's old enough that she doesn't really care what her parents think, and so it's a really fun uh, 70s kind of styled mystery, and I just really like it. And I give it 4 stars too. So that's everything that I've read so far in April, and here's what I'm currently working on. This big behemoth here, Needful Things by Stephen King. I'm buddy reading this with my friend Barb as well, and we are trying to get it done by the end of the month so that we can review it probably like on the last day of the month. And so yeah, I this is a reread for me. I read it whenever I was a teenager, so I'm a little worried. I haven't gotten very far. I think I'm only like about 80 pages or so into it. Yeah. I haven't gotten very far, so I need to step it up a little bit. I'm trying to listen to it on audio, and I'm a little bummed that the narrator is actually Stephen King, and I'm not really into his voice. But it's probably going to be the only way I can get through this big book. So I am listening to it and kind of reading and following along with it a little bit. And also, I am trying to get in, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painterdon. I just gotten started into this one too, but it's a YA contemporary about a girl who has a crush on this one guy. He used to be at their school and then he moved and now he's come back, and she is like really big time crushing on him, and the only way to kind of get in with him now is to get this guy Wes to get her in because they're best friends. And she does not like Wes at all. She's grown up with him, I think, living next door, and he's like been the thorn in her side all her life. And so I have a feeling that she's going to end up liking Wes instead of Michael, but we'll see. And I'm also listening to, I think it's called Late Checkout by Carol J. Perry, and it is, I believe, book number 9 in the Witch City series, and I'm about 2 hours into that, and so I'm enjoying it. I always enjoy the Witch City series, and it's kind of lightly paranormal, not too bad. So if people don't like a lot of paranormal, they'll probably enjoy it. And so that's what I'm currently reading. And if I have time during the month, I really would like to get to Macy Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. But I'm not sure if I'm going to have time. But if I have time, this is on my radar for at least the end of April, which is getting close. So I don't know if I'll be able to fit it in or not. We'll see. And so that's everything that I'm currently reading.